Hi, I'm Helen. I'm a food addict. And um yeah, you're making me feel feelings. I was like thinking I was gonna be all just so cool and all worked up and everything. And I'm like, okay, don't cry, don't cry. Okay, I might, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I love Nebraska. I have had so many good OA experiences in Nebraska. And I've been a member of Overeaters Anonymous for 35 years. In February was my anniversary, February 14th. So 35 years and 20 minutes. And I don't want to linger too long on any one particular part because then I leave out other good parts. So it's like the Nebraska portion of my recovery has just been like nonstop good. I went to the Platte River retreat several times. I think I got to come and I met just it's oh wait, I hope your experience is the same as mine, no matter where I've gone in the country. I just kind of fall into the arms of OA. Um, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I remember somebody saying, "Oh, you're a social butterfly." I was a delegate at World Service. I'm like, I'm not a social butterfly in any context except OA. I just it's hilarious. I don't see myself that way at all. But because I feel safe, I feel loved. I love the I mean I just identify. We are I don't know. I love it. I love us. I love us. Um just a clan. We're a clan. I have this friend. I used the tool of phone call today too. I called her on my way to work and I said one thing I love that you said was one time you said I feel like I have to apologize for breathing. I'm like, "Yep. Uh-huh." She's in her 80s. I'm in my 50s. Doesn't matter. I feel like I've had to apologize for breathing my whole life. It's like what is up with that? But see, this is my safe and awesome place where I can tell you that. I don't talk about that at work. Nobody cares. It just, maybe, I mean, maybe I'm willing to, if I find somebody who maybe is vulnerable or who needs to talk about that. Addicts get it. Addicts get it. I'm a food addict. I decided I would try being abstinent for the first time back then on Valentine's Day in 1990 when I was 23 years old. And I had kind of had a journey to get to that place. I started going to OA meetings when my daughter was a baby. I had just had a baby, and I knew I had a problem. I've always had a problem with food. I would just wanted to pass. My dream was to pass. Leave me alone. Let me eat what I want. Don't criticize me. Don't comment on my body. Don't do anything to me. I just want to look sort of normal-ish and leave me alone. But unfortunately, I believe my disease is progressive and it get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I don't get away with it anymore. Um, Whether people said something or not really wasn't the point. It was how I felt about myself, which was not good, not good at all. So when I heard about OA, I heard about that it was free, and I was broke. So I started coming to meetings, and at first I didn't want to identify desperately, like, no, 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 no. I'm thinner than most of these people. That can't be. I can't. But I bought a big book and I took the 15 questions and I said yes to almost every single one except restricting, which has never been part of my story. I'm a bulk eater, binge eater, um, like a constant eater. Those are my things that I have done. I have attempted bulimia a couple of times. I mean, like I did, but it didn't become a obsession, but I definitely could get it. I get it. I get the panicky feeling. I get the like, oh, I just ate a dozen things. Now what am I gonna do? I think I'll go stick, well, anyway. Yeah, like so I get that. I get it. At least a little bit. My top weight was 268 pounds. I weigh 146 pounds. So I weigh myself once a month. So that was as of March 1st, 121.4 pounds off my body. And I'm very thankful. Because that's why I came here. I came here because I was getting heavier and heavier, and my eating was getting worse and worse. I was a cook at a restaurant at the time, and I had a lot of things happening. My life was chaos. I had a husband in prison. I had a little 2-year old. I hated myself. And OA was I was afraid I was going to hurt my child, like be abusive to her because I was so upset and angry all the time. And I started coming to program, and I never left. I've never left. I have a relapse in my story. I have 5 years worth of horrible relapse where I just couldn't stop eating, and I couldn't get abstinent for even like a day or two, or maybe a couple days, and then I eat again and fall on my face. And I'm like, but I used to know how to be abstinent. I remember it was awesome. I loved being abstinent, and OA is awesome, but I can't stop eating. It's a really bad combination. It doesn't feel good at all. Um, so I'm trying to think how to frame this, you guys, because some of you have heard my story before, and I don't want to I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to stop. Okay. So anyway, I love food. Food is awesome. I still love food. I enjoy my food. I commit, tastes good, love it. Don't eat it if I don't like it. Nope. So if I'm abstinent, it's it's pretty miraculous. Like I said, I couldn't even have be abstinent for a couple of days. So things I learned in program. I learned that my disease is progressive even when I am abstinent. So if I decide to eat compulsively again, what happened to me was that I couldn't get my old food plan back. It didn't work for me anymore. I'm like, but I used to be able to do XYZ. And mm, but I was stubborn. I worked on it for 5 years trying to get it back. And I basically just love to eat sugar all the time. That was like my sugar and flour products, pastries and desserts and things, and vegetables, fruit, but gross. And um, let's see. So when I moved to Waterloo, Iowa, so I lived in let's see, I started my OA in Montana, and I moved back to Iowa. My whole life fell apart, and it was horrible. I had to move back home with my mom and dad in my late 20s, and my little girl had to move from Montana to Iowa in like March. High new student in March. It was bad, and trying to find a job and stuff like that. So I lived in Northwest Iowa around Spencer. Yay. And there were no OA meetings there, and I tried to start one at my top weight, and I didn't get a lot of fellow pals to sign up with me, but I tried. And then moved to Waterloo, Iowa. In Waterloo, they had meetings, and I started going to them, of course, like so happy to be with other people. And I started hearing stuff I needed to hear. So I'm really grateful that OA just kind of hangs in there with you. OA never kicked me out. OA never said, sorry, you just don't look right. Get lost, or you're just not eating, a healthy diet. Get lost. No, always like, welcome to OA, welcome home. Come on in. You want to buy a t-shirt? Or whatever. Yeah, so I love OA. And I heard stuff I needed to hear. So for me, what I needed to hear to come out of relapse was I needed to hear that I was basically just eating sugar all the time, and I had a problem with sugar because I couldn't stop. Just couldn't stop eating sugar products once I started. I mean, not just I don't know, like a bag of sugar. But you get what I'm trying to say. All I wanted to do was eat that all the time. And I got a sponsor who had a food plan. She goes, well, how do I know if you're abstinent if you don't have a food plan? I said, well, I have a food plan, 3 meals a day with nothing in between. Because that was the basic thing I learned from program in the Brown book. It's like that's what the definition of abstinence was. 3 meals. We abstain by eating. We abstain from eating food between our planned meals, and we stay away from individual binge foods. I believe is like the basic, really basic, like bedrocky kind of definition of abstinence. She said, well, I'm going to have you do things. I'm going to have you weigh and measure food. I'm like, oh, yuck. Right. And I basically started eating double the fruits and vegetables I would have chosen to have, and about half the protein and carbs. And I knew sugar was a problem. So I had already surrendered the sugar. Um, and I lost so much weight. I lost weight. Like I just I'd been so, I mean like plus size, wearing the thighs out, just a lot of the painful, demoralizing stuff with the weight. And Yeah. And it's like, thank you for saving me OA. Thank you for a sponsor who was kind of firm, but also loving and really funny, you know? I remember one time we were at a restaurant and I looked at my plate and I said, that's too much protein. And she took a knife and she like she whacked it. She chopped it in half right in front of my face. I'm like, she's living dangerously, but I accepted it. She was hilarious. She was so brave and funny, and I needed it. I needed help. I call her up and I'd say, I hate that I committed to. I don't think you guys are gonna think broccoli's sexy if I say broccoli. I try not to say food, but broccoli's not too sexy. I'm like, I hate that I committed broccoli for supper. Can I switch it? She's like, no, go to the grocery store and buy broccoli. I'm like, so like gently leading me to discipline because I need it. We alcoholics, we food addicts are undisciplined. I shouldn't like, I don't want to modify the big book, but I really relate to that. I love that so much. Probably one of the truest statements I've ever read about myself. I'm not disciplined, so I allow God to discipline me in these simple ways, simple but not easy ways. Um, the journey has been so cool, and Nebraska is a big part of it, just because like feeling good and being able to do stuff. Like what I got to go to the OA prom when you guys hosted the prom. I got to go to the retreat before the prom when all the dresses were there at the they were and you could pick through the dresses, and I've seen so many good skits from you guys, and I've been to I mean I got to go to that the region for do we have a region four convention when Cecilia drafted me? Whatever it was awesome. She's like, oh, by the way, you're the keynote speaker on Saturday night. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. She waited till I got there. She's awesome. Um, yeah, OA prom, retreats, passing out in Cecilia's kitchen, or no, her garage. Her garage. I passed out in her garage before I went to be the leader of the retreat. But it was a great weekend. It turned out great. I just was kind of a little sick, I guess. What else happened? So many really beautiful things. Yep. So my life in program, what has been good and what has been difficult and what has been whatever. I met somebody. I was married to my first husband till 1992. I used that as a reason to pick up and eat compulsively when we got divorced because he didn't love me and I was a single mother. And I just took all those things and I just milked the crap out of them. I mean, I'm like, well, if you were me, you'd be eating too. You wouldn't be like happy skippy all about like, eating healthy or watching your weight or whatever. It's like you'd eat too if you had my life. My life is terrible. And I just worked that one really hard. I kind of made that into my higher power, I guess. Being a victim is definitely like one of my big tools of disease, for sure. Um, and it's like OA teaches me new ways to live one day at a time. So, like, getting a food plan was awesome, and for a really long time, that was my kind of like my I'm definitely like the farmer in the big book, the guy who goes, ain't it grand the wind stopped blowing, ma, like all the tornadoes destroyed the whole farmstead. If you haven't read that, it's just cool. It's just there in other words, so in the big book they're saying like you can put down the booze, that's awesome. But you have done other things in your life, like maybe you've hurt some people along the way, maybe you've hurt yourself along the way, maybe you've done some stuff. I was sort of like that farmer, like, I'm abstinent. What more do you want from me? Everybody fall at my feet. So one of the first things that happened with that was that my first marriage fell apart. I thought, well, I'm abstinent, so like, what? He's gonna love me, and it's gonna be awesome. And it's like, gosh, you kind of forget that you're at my. I forgot that abstinence does not make me have power over other people. It's like abstinence is great, and it saves my life, and it's the black and white difference between life and death for me, but it doesn't help me to like control other people. It doesn't get me a job necessarily, or keep a job. It doesn't stop my mom and dad from dying. It's like abstinence is cool though. So my goal is to work on a better relationship with my higher power, whom I choose to call God. So I was thinking about something inspirational and good because I like to read from literature because then you guys at least get one really good thing out of the even if I don't say anything else, at least there's something awesome that gets said here. Um,
Helen, we got
what
5 minutes. Five.
How many?
5 minutes.
Five. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are timing me. Okay, that's, oh yeah, yep. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm gonna, yeah. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful. So this is kind of the step I'm really working on right now is step 11. I'm trying to do that thing at nighttime when we retire at night, we could strictly review our day. I'm trying to do that, and I'm doing better with on awakening. I'm pretty good at on awakening. I kind of have that part. I've sort of memorized that part, so I like that. But anyway, as we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we're no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, Thy will be done. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works, it really does. We alcoholics are undisciplined. So we let God discipline us in the simple way we have just outlined. But this is not all. There is action and more action. Faith without works is dead. The next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12. So um, I really like the big book a lot. I started going to some big book meetings where I live and doing the steps a certain way. And that's been really helpful to me. That's been a big deal for the last 10 years or so of my life. I've sponsored a couple people through that particular structure. It's they call it the big book process. You know, there's so many good ways to do it. That's just one of the ways I've found to grow in program. I sponsor 4.5 people. I have my half person is not super interested in OA, but she does want to talk about food and eating compulsively. So it's like, I love you. I'll talk to you. But my sponsees are wonderful. And and it makes me laugh because I never thought I'd ever say that stuff. I was so scared to be a sponsor for years and years and years. Again, going back to what I said before, I'm abstinent. What more do you want from me? Yeah, but it's like I really like being a sponsor now. And my main thing I think to myself is God is the sponsor. I'm not with that person. They're like, I'm asleep. They're doing whatever. So I have to turn them over to God. And that's what saves my whatever, saves me from being nervous and scared because I don't want to, I don't, if I think if I have to like be God to you, I'm not going to be a sponsor. I'll freak out. That's why I was so nervous for all those years. Like, what do you think you are? What do you think they expect from you? I'm not God. Surprise. Ha. Anyway, no, I'm so relieved not to be, and I'm grateful that everybody gets to work on a relationship with their higher power. Um, Brings me a lot of joy. This has been a really amazing source of happiness for me. I think it's been a source of happiness for my kid. She was 2 when I started, so she's 37 now. She got to come to I know she got to come to a Region 4 convention because OA people just loved her, just took her places. I have really good friends, loved on her. I remember one of them she went to school in Iowa City. They met up and went to a concert together. It's like my OA friend, like loved on Julia. It's like, oh my gosh, fantastic. I feel like I'm sort of scattered everywhere, but my message, I guess the message I would like to say is that um, my higher power has a better plan for me than I could ever make up for myself. And I think I can make up some pretty good plans because I'm kind of like a sparkle unicorn kind of person. But the way I ate, was an orgasm on a plate, but it made me want to die. I just wanted to die all the time. And it was leading me to death. And now I feel like I'm living while I'm alive. And that's cool. I don't feel like I'm 58. I don't know. But I mean, I'm a happier 58 now as an abstinent person than I was when I was, when I weighed 268 pounds and I was 30 years old, So I'm definitely living better than I did then. How am I doing? It says here, I've got 36 seconds. Oh, so I just think you guys are awesome. I'm really grateful that I was asked to speak. Thank you so much for help letting me do service here. And Pass.